Hi, travelers. Welcome to another TGN live event where the stethoscope meets the suitcase, and every event is a journey into the heart of travel healthcare. I'm your host, Rachel Altum, the online community manager for the Gypsy Nurse, and today we have our friends from AMN Healthcare joining us. But before we get started, let's take a moment and see how the Gypsy Nurse can help you along on your journey. TGN is a one-stop shop resource for travel healthcare workers. You can plan your next adventure with our downloadable travel nurse guide, find your next assignment with our job board, find a place to stay with our housing partner, Furnish Finder, and there's so much more that you can unlock on thegypsynurse.com. Not only are we the largest online community, but we also hold the largest in-person travel healthcare conference in Las Vegas every year. You can meet up with other travelers and your recruiters, get CEs at a great price, learn more about the travel healthcare world, and dance the night away at our infamous after party at Dre's nightclub. This is happening September 22nd through the 25th. You do not want to miss it. It is so much fun. Allied, you are welcome too. We have so many sessions for you. So you don't want to miss out on the event of the year for travelers. So go on to travcon.org to learn more. So now let's bring on our friends from AMN. We have Saundra, Isaiah, Molly, and Caitlin coming on to discuss resumes, career coaching, and what to consider when looking for travel per diem or a leadership position. So let's bring on Saundra, Isaiah, Caitlin, and Molly. Hi, guys.
Hi, Rachel. We're so excited to be back again. We always love to join you.
Love it. Well, I'm going to let you kick it off and enjoy.
Perfect. Well, thank you again so much for having us. We always love coming to speak with all of you on the Gypsy Nurse Live. My name is Saundra, and I'm one of the Divisional Vice Presidents at AMN. I cannot kick these things off. If you've ever joined one of our joint live events with Gypsy Nurse or our own internal AMN live events, I can't start without just first thanking all of you, our wonderful clinicians out there, whether you travel with us, you travel with a different company, whether you're not in travel already or just out there working as a clinician. Thank you for everything that you do. I know I've had personal experiences with travelers and nurses in hospitals, and I'm just so thankful for you. So can't start without saying that, especially in Nurses Month, where we get to finally celebrate all of the things that you do. Before I introduce my lovely panel here, I do have to give a plug. We still have a giveaway going on for this month. If you follow us on AMN Nurse, you can see all the details. I'm sure we'll drop all of that information in the chat. And we are here for you. So please, if you're joining us, maybe let us know where you're joining us from, and then what questions you have about the topic we're going to be going over, which is, as Rachel mentioned, what does this career of travel nursing look like, and how can we really support you in all of the different areas of your journey? That's a lot of me talking. So I'm going to introduce my awesome panel. Isaiah, you are first, kind of right next to me. Tell us who you are and just a little bit about you.
Hi guys, my name is Isaiah King. I'm a senior recruiter here. I've been here for about 5 years. And my favorite thing about this job is hearing the excitement in a nurse's voice. Like once we find that job and get the offer for that job, that we were looking for, like that feeling is the best.
You got so excited, Isaiah, you accidentally muted yourself.
Oh,
But
I'm so sorry.
Just that feeling of finding that job, it is such a great moment. And such a great place for celebration. Isaiah, I feel like all of you listening, Isaiah has the best voice to listen to. He's got kind of that smooth jazz vibe. So I'm digging it as we're going through. Molly, you're next. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. My name's Molly. I'm a recruiter. I've been here a little bit over 4 years. I would say my favorite thing is just building long-term relationships, helping you alongside you find your dream job. It's amazing, and I'm so excited to answer any questions you have.
I love it. Thanks, Molly. And last but not least, we also have the client side. Caitlin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, and I have to mirror what Saundra said on behalf of all of our clients with AMN. Thank you for what you do. Happy Nurses Month. We're so appreciative of what you do and what you contribute every day. My name is Caitlin Offenborn. I'm a director of account management. I've been with AMN for, I like to say, a decade. It'll be a decade this year. So really exciting, with experience primarily on the client side. So I have to say, favorite thing about, what I do in relation to you amazing nurses is seeing those placements come through. We have those clients that have those really, niche specialties, or really need that support for that LOA coverage or an increase in census. So being able to secure you guys for that assignment and have it run successfully is definitely a huge win and one of the highlights of what I do.
I love it. Well, hopefully you're all feeling the passion that this panel has for really just supporting you through your journey, how you support all of the clients that we have. And without further ado, we'll kind of get into it. But please remember, throw those questions that you have in the chat. You've got a good amount of knowledge here, and we're excited to share all of the information that we have with you to really help you as you continue on your career journey. So let's maybe start from the beginning. Isaiah, I'll come to you first. Talk to us a little bit about just why are our candidates traveling? What happens when they give you a call? And kind of what are those initial conversations that you have with them?
Yeah, so when I am first talking to a clinician, like the biggest thing I've noticed is that the timing is right. They've heard about it from friends, they've seen things online, they've talked about it with their friends at work, and they've looked into it and are like just ready to dip their toe in the water, and talk about what it entails, what's it like, what do I hear from from other nurses. They tell me things that they're scared of and they're worried about. And so my job as a recruiter is really to, one, like address those fears and tell them everyone has the first time jitters, but they're right on track in terms of why most folks are traveling.
Yeah.
Sorry, I muted myself again, but
That's
like
okay.
that first call, it it really is a great experience. But what I've seen, like, it's mostly about timing. Like they just feel that the timing is right.
Yeah, I love that you're talking about timing, Isaiah, because, and Caitlin, I saw you come off mute, so I'm going to come to you too, but that is really important. We know that, and Molly, I'm sure you have instances as well. The timing has to kind of be right for what this big next step is. Caitlin, what were you going to add to what Isaiah was saying?
Yeah, I think timing, absolutely. And I wanted to maybe ease some of those worries, maybe going into travel. I know it can be different and it can be scary, but from a client perspective, they welcome travelers. We have so many clients that have been using travelers, gosh, for decades. So we do a lot of work and have really strong relationships with those clients to ensure that that is hopefully smooth as possible process, but that you're really, really welcomed with open arms. So if you are nervous about maybe entering as a contract staff, nothing to be worried about. We work through all of that with our clients to make sure you have a really positive experience.
Caitlin's here to tell you that it's all good. The client is excited to have you, and we definitely need travelers. Molly, I saw you kind of going towards your computer. What would you add to what Caitlin and Isaiah are saying, just as far as that initial conversation and maybe easing some of the nerves, and maybe it's more on timing too?
Yeah. So we as recruiters, we're going to be there for you. Any questions, we'll pick up the phone. We have text, email, call, whatever is, you're more comfortable with. We'll be there for you. You also will have a support team throughout the process. So once you actually book your assignment, you'll have a credentialing analyst that partners with you, a clinical team member for any issues that go on the unit. So we will be, hand in hand throughout the entire process.
I love that. And so you really do have that support system. It's something we talk about pretty frequently here, and also in our other lives. But as you talk to any of our recruiters, is that you have such a huge support system that is really here to make sure that you have the best experience possible so that you can do the thing that we all are here for, which is really to provide quality patient care to people who need it most. And in a lot of communities where they really wouldn't have that care if it weren't for you being there. We talked a little bit about timing, and I know we have a lot of people who might be just interested in traveling, or maybe this is their first big step. Maybe watching this podcast is the first thing that you're doing for some research. But even if the timing's not right now, that doesn't mean that you can't start prepping for an assignment, right, Isaiah? So maybe talk to us a little bit about what's some of the pre-work that you could start doing today if travel is something that you're interested in the future, really at any point in the future.
Yeah, I would say the first thing I'd recommend doing is talk to a recruiter Because even if you're not ready to go right now, it's so important to start planning, right? So I would speak with a recruiter and like let them know what your goals are. Let them know like where you are in your journey as a nurse. Like maybe you're 9 months in, a year in, and you're looking to travel and you want to save to buy a house, you want to pay off student loan debt, right? Whatever that looks like, speak to a recruiter, let them know what your goals are, and then start to build your profile, right? So once you guys can, start looking, like it's really just a process then of looking and going after it.
Right.
But your journey is going to be so much easier. Um, if me as a recruiter, like I just know what your goals are and where you
Right.
are looking to go. That's what I would do first.
Yeah, I love that, Isaiah. And you're absolutely right. Just really being open and transparent. We talked about that in building that relationship with your recruiter. If you don't have that relationship with your recruiter, find a different recruiter, honestly. Like you really have to have that trustworthy back and forth, right, Molly? I see you nodding, where you can really feel like, gosh, this person is in my corner, or at least understands and can be very transparent with me as to what the market looks like and what I need to do in order to get to whatever that goal is. Molly, what would you add?
Yeah, and I always say, help me help you, because one of our biggest goals as recruiters is to find the perfect fit and the perfect match. And say we don't find something right away, there's always going to be something that's going to come up. Getting your profile ready, you'll be the first in line. Whereas if somebody has a skills checklist or a virtual interview, on their file, and we submit to that same position and we don't already have that, then we might be, the second or third person. And as far as, just the open communication, we want to know, why you want to go to this location. Do you know somebody there? Do you have a family member maybe you can stay with? The why behind everything is going to be what you want to tell your recruiter. And then we can, have better knowledge of what you're looking for and go from there.
And I think really understand those motivations, right? Because it's one thing for us to just hear, gosh, I really want to go to Hawaii. Well, I would love to go to Hawaii as well. Why? Is it that we want a vacation there? Is it that we have family there? Is it it's a bucket list place? So then Isaiah, Molly, or any recruiter can really help direct you to a way that you could get there faster. So maybe it's a stop off along the way to build more experience so that you can be prepared for something like that. Caitlin, from what you're hearing from Isaiah and Molly, the kind of underlying tone here is speed as well. So tell us a little bit about just general market right now. Speed is key. It's always been, but I think even more so in today's world of travel nursing.
Oh, absolutely. You saw me probably come off of mute because I got so excited about this, like getting your profile ready, getting onto our Passport app and setting everything up, because I don't know how many times I've seen situations where that one position that maybe you want to go to becomes available. Then you start, you're getting so excited and then it's gone. And that is not an experience we want anyone to have. So having that profile be ready is going to set you up for when that position that you're looking for becomes available. And I think, I know Molly, I'm sure Isaiah mentioned it too, but letting your recruiter know your goals allows them to be open with us on the client side in terms of what you're looking for. So in that situation, when we're kind of working through the dang, I wish I would have gotten that position, or I wish I would have, submitted myself a little bit faster, we could be having conversations of, okay, maybe it's not this one this time, but what else might interest you based on your goals? If your goal, to Molly's point, is to be in a certain area because you have family you can stay with, great. Here's some other options that we might be able to look at for you. If your goal is to work at a specific level of hospital, even better, we can look at, some other options and work with your recruiter to present those options to you. So, while again, we might still be working through, gosh, I really wish I could have gotten that one. There might be something else that might move faster for you and get you that offer quicker.
Right. And does it have to be right now, or can it be, is it a future goal, right? Something that we really are looking for. Molly and Isaiah both talked about that, just making sure you're ready and that your profile is looking good. So some of the things that we say, all right, Isaiah, are let's make sure that work history is updated. What does your resume look like? What have you done? Molly mentioned a skills checklist, but also one piece that we're seeing come back a lot more, and I'm sure I'll get a pretty vigorous head nod from Caitlin, is references, which can sometimes be a big holdup. Isaiah, any recommendations that you have for candidates either looking to get into travel or who are maybe in the market but started during COVID, where that references piece wasn't really a big deal?
Yeah. One thing I'd recommend, utilize the passport. I cannot advocate that thing enough. One, because we have to figure that your references are just as busy as you are. Right.
Mhm.
And so sometimes it's a little tougher to get them on the phone, because like we all know that reference process can be, hard, right? I've got to
Yeah.
get them on the phone. They have to have the time, right? But with the passport, like it's such an easy process to put in their info. It sends them an email. It's very quick and easy and convenient for your reference to take
Mhm.
care of that as well, right? And like and I cannot stress the convenience of being able to do this like
Yeah.
on the couch while you're watching Bridgerton. You know what I mean? Like we have made it convenient and easy. But with that, it is so important that those references are on there. And I
Mhm.
know a while back it wasn't, but yeah, please utilize the AMN passport to like really help you um, to get your profile together like in a way that's easy and convenient, not just for you, but the people that you need to vouch for you.
I really appreciate you saying that, Isaiah, because you're right. We know that all of you are so busy and your references are probably as busy as you are. Caitlin, I did see you come off mute, so I'm sure you have something to add. But if you're not picking up on it, the AMN Passport app is such a great tool for you, not just in working with AMN, but really in just your travel journey in general. There's so many great podcasts, but also just great information for you to absorb and make decisions on what does that next step in your journey look like. We also have made it very easy for you to keep all of your documents and credentials in one place, and they don't just have to stay with AMN. You can have that as a place where you can send out to, maybe this next perm position that I want, or maybe this place has a position that I've been waiting for that I just need to act on right now for whatever reason might be. Caitlin, what do you have to add there?
Yeah, I wanted to maybe proactively answer a question that some of our nurses might have of why. Why are references?
Yeah.
Why are they making a comeback? And is there anything we can do to like not make them make a comeback, right? Like nobody wants the gaucho pants back, if anyone remembers that trend. But I want to call out, so throughout the pandemic, there was so many open positions and there were people flexing to so many different units and broadening their scope and doing everything that they can really just to work at the grassroots and get that client through that hard time. So first and foremost, thank you for all of you that took that step up and really helped out in those situations. Now that we're in this post-pandemic place, managers are receiving approval for less positions than they might have in the past, right? Our clients are really gauging and balancing that budget with that patient care and how many travelers or how many staff they need on the unit at a time. So they might need to be a bit more stringent on what skill set or what specialty that they're looking for. So having a reference that can very clearly outline what experience you have, what you did during that time frame, especially during that crazy thing we called COVID, is really helpful in them determining if you're going to be the right fit. They want to make sure that it's going to be a good experience for you and that you are able to really hit the ground running once you get on the floor, or if maybe a different unit might be a better fit.
Right. And I do appreciate that additional feedback, because I do think it would help. It does help to understand a little bit more, right, of what are we asking for? And Caitlin, this isn't just an AMN thing, right? Now, all of a sudden we need references. It really is coming from our clients across the board of looking to see who is going to be the best fit for my unit. and make sure that my patients are being well taken care of by someone who can really give them the quality of care that they need. So we talked a little bit about references. We understand the why behind it. I think if that's my one plug, make sure you download the AMN Passport app and utilize that references section, because it is so easy. It's easy for you. It's easy for the person that you're asking for that reference from. Do it proactively, because Molly, we talked about speed. We talked about maybe that one position that you really want. It's a bummer when you don't get it because there's some item that we could have already had on file, right? And maybe add there, Molly, just on anything else that you would say, just to be aware of, or really make sure that we stay on top of.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, my dog, if everyone could hear
That's
that.
okay. Working from home, it happens.
Maybe
I'm
come
sure
back to
everybody
me.
can appreciate it.
I was like, I wish I could show him. There's someone at my front door.
Oh.
But if you want to come back to me,
I can come back to you.
Isaiah, do you want to take
It's
this one?
totally fine. That
Okay.
Amazon delivery just always sets them off, right? Maybe Isaiah, I'll go to you of just the speed piece. We've talked a little bit about it, but anything else that you would add to that kind of profile readiness component of making sure we have everything that we need prior to submission?
Yeah, it's just going to make your life easier. Not to mention, it's going to make planning for a plan B easier, right? So having everything together, right? And we always have that ideal position in our mind that we want. And if all goes well, we get it. That's awesome. Just in case we don't, we want to make sure we're just as ready to get that plan B, because it's probably just, just as good, right? So taking that 10 to 15 minutes to make sure that you got everything lined out, speaking with your recruiter, asking them to look over your file, to triple check everything. Those, I cannot tell you how important that is and how much time it'll save you, and like how much more likely you'll be to get the positions you want all the time. If your profile is always updated, it's going to be so much easier for you to get the job you want. And, and that'll really help with your job satisfaction overall.
Yeah.
Right. So please, 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 like take a couple minutes, get that stuff knocked out. It'll make a world of difference, not just in this assignment, but in all your assignments moving forward.
Agreed. So good. And I know part of what we're talking about here is just what the career looks like to help you as you move throughout your career, whether it's with AMN or any other company. Maybe one additional piece I'll put here. And Molly, if you're good, give me a thumbs up. I'll come to you as long as the dogs aren't barking. Okay. So one of the other things, and I'm sure Caitlin, again, is going to vigorously nod her head, is think about timing, not only of when is it a good time for me to take an assignment as far as my overall kind of life plan, right? Do I have kids at home? Am I moving? What is my motivation there? But also timing for some of those other maybe smaller things so that you can really dedicate your time to the facility that you're traveling to. And I guess the underlying piece there is, how can you maybe eliminate or avoid time off as much as possible during your 13-week contract? Molly, maybe I'll come to you to just talk about how do we manage that time off piece, because the facilities are really expecting that we're sending a clinician there to work for the full 13 and fill the need. And then afterwards, you can take that little bit of a break. But I know you have travelers that do this pretty frequently.
Yeah. So a lot of travelers will, want to take some time off in between the contract, but I'm sure if you've traveled before, if you haven't, you're supposed to technically have an open schedule when you do take a travel assignment. We do have time off. I mean, we can request that, to account management, and they'll ask the nurse manager. But if there's another nurse, again, with the timing and just having the profile ready, if there's another nurse, in trying to get the same position and they don't have time off, they're probably going to hire the nurse that doesn't have those requests. So yeah, that's really, obviously, if you need it for, a wedding or something that's really important to you, then, talk to your recruiter. But at the end of the day, we really do need somebody. And, I know the facilities are looking for somebody with an open schedule. And so the least amount of time off is really going to be ideal.
Yeah, and be prepared for that, right? We understand there are some instances where you have to have a weekend, or maybe it's a Thursday to a Sunday where somebody is getting married, or there's some other prior commitment that you absolutely have to have. Of course, we can work through that with you, but Caitlin, if you want to add to what Molly said, if we're looking, comparing between two profiles, we could have two equally very strong nurses, but if one doesn't need that time off and is really flexible and available, that is going to be typically where the client focus is.
Absolutely. I think our clients try to be as flexible as possible. But to circle back, I think to my earlier point a little bit, a lot of them are really looking at approval and budget constraints and census. So when they're requesting nurses, it's because they really need them from a contract perspective. And they are looking for someone that can come in and really fill the holes in their schedule and help fill some of those gaps. Mm-hmm. So I think it doesn't mean you can't ever request time off, right? We understand that people have plans, there's weddings, there's things going on. But if I could make an ask on behalf of our clients, if you have time off, just make sure that it's something that is really a make or break situation. And we are 100% willing and happy to ask for that on your behalf. Mm-hmm. But the more time off, Saundra, to your point, if it's you and someone else, even if that person has a tiny bit less experience, they might end up going with that person if their schedule is more flexible. So just something to think about as you make some requests. I will also say we are starting to see clients not approve like once you get on assignment. So highly recommend talking to your recruiter about the scheduling at that facility. If it's self-schedule, great. Maybe you might be able to work, some time off into that. Outside of that, though, we are seeing clients be a bit more strict once you've stepped foot on the floor in terms of asking for like any additional or lengthy time off, just because they're building those schedules out. Most of the time they're already built for most of that assignment length. So there's not as much wiggle room when it comes to adding those after starting.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to note, right, Caitlin? And maybe Isaiah, I'll come to you of just what is that list of items you want to be sure you're aware of and that your recruiter knows? Because the worst case is when we get an offer from a facility and then we have someone say, actually, I need X, Y, and Z time off. Isaiah, talk a little bit about that.
Oh man, it happens. It happens a lot, right? So I would really try to let your recruiter know what vacation time you have up front. More often than not, smaller things like, like a day here, a day there is going to be fine. One thing to keep in mind is when your recruiter has to request like 2 weeks off after the offer request, like it does become much more difficult, right? And a lot more for that manager to consider in terms of scheduling. And like none of us want to stop you from going on vacation, right? I would love for you to go on a trip to, Paris or wherever you're going. But like just in terms of getting the position, just do your best and letting us know like upfront, like, hey, PS, I've got a week off because I'm taking a cruise with my wife or, whatever, right?
Yeah.
At least then we can let the facility know upfront. And I'm telling you, it feels so much better to get that offer in hand, knowing that you've got everything you wanted like off the jump, right? So like that first shot, like just like as much as you can,
Yeah, just being open and transparent. Same things we talked about before, right? We are here to help support you. We want you to have the best experience that you can possibly have. So the more that you give us to really then be your advocate in searching for that job and getting you the jobs that you want, the more prepared that we are to have those conversations, the better, because then Caitlin and her team can take the great profiles that they have to the nurse manager and say, hey, this is a great nurse. They gave us everything that they needed up front. You want this person. Let's make sure that we can get that time off approved. So we definitely want you to take the time. If you can limit it, to, of course, take the cruise to Paris or whatever you need, right, Isaiah? But Molly, maybe let's talk a little bit about just that time off in between, because you have a lot of nurses that do contracts and then they'll take a couple weeks off and then do another one.
Yeah. So it's very common to see nurses take time off in between, which is very well deserved, number one. We know that, you guys work really hard on the unit for 13 weeks. So the time off in between, and, Caitlin, you might know more about this too, but it usually does get approved. I will say if you can not take the time off, obviously it's still time off, so it might not, it wouldn't hurt to not take it. But it is common to ask for that because, like I said, rightfully so, you deserve it. But just talk to your recruiter. We'll talk to the facility, see if it's something that they're willing to give you, and usually it's a yes.
Yeah. So on extensions, there's definitely that component. Caitlin, go ahead. I know you have something to add.
Yeah, I think, right, it's twofold. So the time off in between, if you're going to a different contract, have at it. Enjoy Paris. Send me a picture of the Eiffel Tower, have some croissants, all the things. If you are looking to extend, the way that I would think about that is like, we're really negotiating a new contract on your behalf. So if you are looking to take a break in between and come back, we can 100% have those conversations. Please let us know as soon as possible. We typically, on the client side, are starting to have those conversations once you've been on assignment for about a month, maybe a little bit longer than a month. So if it is somewhere where you step foot on the floor, you complete orientation, you're like, I want to hang out here for the next 26 weeks, 30 weeks, a year, whatever the case, start having those conversations with your recruiter so that you can have, that conversation about time off in between. If you want to take that 1 to 2 weeks, we're more than happy to ask for that. The sooner we know, the sooner we can start having the conversation with the client. And assuming all goes well, hopefully we can get you that little break in between the two contracts with that same client.
Perfect, Caitlin. And what you're hearing a lot as you're listening, and Isaiah, I'll come to you in just 1 second here, is that preparedness. Preparedness and transparency, I feel like, are 2 words. So let us know what you need, but then just be prepared in, these are the dates that I know I need time off for. Let me update my skills checklist. Let me make sure I have references and that my references know that they're going to be getting contacted via email or phone by AMN or whoever else it might be, right? So making sure that you've kind of done some of the groundwork will really help your career as a travel nurse and as you continue to go. Isaiah, go for it.
Yeah. So just kind of to continue the train of transparency here, when you are trying to take a break in between assignments, it also doesn't hurt at times to talk to your managers. I mean, like at the end of the day, like they're people just like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can't hurt to be like, hey, I love it here. I want to come back, but I'd love 10 days off or what have you, like in between assignments, so I can go home and see my kids. I miss my wife. I miss my husband. I'd like to go, right? Like,
yeah,
they're people, right? But to tell them like in advance, and you guys can negotiate that together, I can tell you will go a long way. It'll make things much easier to approve.
And by the way, I need a reference, right?
Right. And by the way, I need a reference. Awesome.
Yes, exactly. So, and such a good point. And Caitlin, I saw you nodding your head. So anything to add there just on that relationship once you are at a facility with the people that you work with?
Yes, such a great point. I wish I'd made it myself, Isaiah. But as Isaiah said, the managers, you're seeing them every day. For on our side, on the client side, a lot of what we're doing is over the phone, via email. Your managers are busy. They're on the floor. They're doing the thing. They're getting everything done that they need to on a day-to-day basis. So once you're on assignment, absolutely reach out to your managers, whether it's about time off or, I know what we're here for, right, is career advancement. So talking about education, different trainings you can join, what you're interested in, what your goals are, that's going to allow you to, one, you're building rapport with your manager, never a bad thing. But also you're letting them know really what you're looking for. And you never know, there might be a situation where they're like, oh gosh, we're having an education next week. Yeah, you can totally sit in. Or if you have a ton of experience, oh my gosh, we're looking for someone to work a bit of charge. Is that something that would interest you? Little things like that can go such a long way as you're having those open or having that open dialogue with your manager.
And such a great transition, Caitlin, for us to also talk about what does that career advancement or continued development look like once you do take a travel assignment? Because for a lot of our candidates, right, Molly, Isaiah, you're looking to develop your your career and your skill set so that you continue that, resume building for whatever the future looks like. Maybe Molly, what are some of the things that you tell your candidates to do to help build that resume? I know we've got a little bit of delay with Molly.
So, am I good?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. So typically with career advancement, there's so many opportunities in travel nursing. I'm sure if you've traveled before, you've heard about floating. If you haven't, you probably have also heard about floating. That is a great way to, and if you're floating within your scope, to, build your skill sets. Med-surg tele is I feel like a big field where we see a lot of floating. And to go back to the rapport with the nurse manager, if you build rapport, you can ask them, hey, what kind of education can I do? Is there a future here for me in another specialty? With each travel assignment, you're going to experience different skills and different, equipment. It does build your resume just by traveling to different facilities, teaching hospitals. You may go to a community hospital. So every single travel nurse assignment that you go on, you probably will learn something new and meet somebody that could help you in the future.
Yeah, that's great, Molly. And Isaiah, maybe I'll come back to you just again, that conversation initially of what are the different types of facilities that we can go to and how can I continue to build my career and build my resume. What else would you add there?
I think Molly really hit the nail like on the head, right? So one of the great things about like AMN is we have so many teaching hospitals here. So if that's what you are looking to do, like if you are looking to build your resume, be transparent with your recruiter in that. Like, hey, like I want to make sure while I'm a travel nurse that, in a year's time, I have like level 1 trauma experience, or I've taught at a large hospital, or I've helped in like a rough area or doing like a rough time, right? Just being open and transparent with your recruiter in the beginning of what you want to do, and from there they should be able to steer you on the right path in terms of making sure that you can build what you're attempting to with your career.
Right. And I think that's so good to really keep in the back of your mind as you're building. I'm kind of thinking all of our nurses out there or allied professionals writing out your list of what are the things that I really want to gain from this experience. So what's my to-do list for, making sure that I'm ready to go, but what are the things that I want to accomplish? What does the next couple of years look like for me? Because to Isaiah's point, we can steer and direct you into different locations, all with this really great safety net below you of the support systems that you have within AMN. Maybe Molly, I'll come to you. Just talk a little bit about like our clinical teams and some of those conversations too that help support our candidates or our clinicians.
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, and it's been mentioned quite a bit, we really do value you guys so much. And we know that how hard you work, and, we're there to support. So we have our clinical management team. They're available 24/7 to you, no matter what is going on. So say there's something on the unit that you just want to talk to somebody that maybe has a little bit more insight, because as recruiters, we didn't go to school. We did, but we didn't go get our RN degree. So we may not understand, the certain situation that you did go through, but our clinical team can come in and really help you out. And it's really nice because they're available 24/7 always. So if we're not on our office hours, we have a number that you can call, and they're directly tied to you. And then of course with credentialing, you'll have your credentialing analyst partnering with you all through the first part of the assignment, which credentialing can be, it can be heavy. And sometimes, especially if you're a new traveler, you do need support, and we'll be there. You'll have your credentialing analyst. And then, like I said, on assignment, me and Isaiah, us recruiters will be hand in hand with you the entire time. Clinical will kind of pick up, once you're on assignment to answer any questions that you have then.
Yeah, absolutely. And to really make you feel that level of safety when you're on assignment. Caitlin, what would you add maybe about just the clinical relationship? Because our clinical managers are tied to particular facilities as well.
Yes. So our clinical team is amazing. And they do reach out directly to our clients. Same thing. Do not have my RN degree, so I would never want to speak on maybe a specific situation. So again, with the openness, transparency, work with the clinical team, have those conversations, because they can then reach out to the client to make sure that everything's going the way that it's supposed to. I know I've seen situations where maybe a traveler comes off of assignment, it's like, gosh, I feel like I was, maybe pushed a little bit to work outside of what I would consider to be my scope, but I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to have, I didn't want to, maybe, raise any red flags. Talk to our clinical team. They will 100% tell you if, like, hey, that actually might be a bit within our scope, but let's talk through it. Let's figure out, how to make this feel really confident and really successful for you. Or they have no qualms reaching out to my team or to the client directly to say, actually, I think that this is going to fall a bit outside of scope. Let's make sure that for everyone's sake and safety and the, safety of the patients, that we're considering some of these things and having those conversations. So while I know a huge theme, I think, of the recent topic has been floating, and highly recommend it, will likely float at some point, within your assignment, we never want that to be like a stressor or something that you don't feel safe doing, or feel as though, gosh, this just feels a little bit off. Our clinical team can 100% step in and help us have those conversations on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. You're hearing a lot also about this 24/7 model that we have. So we have 24/7 clinical support. But again, plug for Passport. If you haven't downloaded it already, make sure that you do. That's also available to you 24/7. So if we kind of go back and think about just the speed and the way that the market is operating right now, there's a lot of really great stuff for you to be able to set up what those preferences are for yourself. If there's a job that you're really interested in, I know both of my recruiters, Isaiah and Molly, love this. You can submit yourself, and then it could be at 2 a.m. while you're taking your break from your shift, so that we're not missing those things that come up. Isaiah, maybe something to add there, and then Molly, I'll come to you.
Yeah. So one of the things I really like about Passport is, one, you can look up jobs as well, right? Like you can look up things that that jobs that will like interest you, because it happens so often. I'll talk to a nurse, and we've got this list of things we want, but like in a day, like things can change, right? So what you may be okay with right now may be different than what you'd be okay with tomorrow.
Right.
So like you being able to show a job that you like, and then I can see it in the morning, because I will not see it at 2 a.m. I will be in bed. But if I could go in and see that job in the morning and be like, hey, I saw you okay to tell, right? It
Did I
it
lose
keeps
Isaiah?
us like more in line with you, right? So for those times that we can't be like on the phone or things change, you being able to go on Passport and show what you're interested in like helps me to keep in tune with what you want if things change. So again, like I will put I mean, please do it. Like, it's a huge help to everyone.
Absolutely. I don't know if you lost all of us during that time frame, but my internet dropped, and so I missed part of what Isaiah said. Okay, so hopefully you got most of that. But do definitely download the Passport app. We want you to we're partners with you, and this really does allow us to be partners in the job search component. Things could change overnight. They could change even while you're on the unit. You're like, you know what? I think the timing is now. And that allows you that opportunity. I will say that Passport is also way more than just a job search app. There is a lot that you can do on there. We talked about credentials. We talked about getting prepped for your next assignment. We also know that community is so important to really to all of us, but especially to all of you when you travel to a place that's totally brand new. So we're really looking to see how we can connect you with other candidates that are in the same area. What are the things that you can do? So, so much more than just a job search tool. I know we're getting close to our time, so maybe I'll go around really quick and just say like one thing. If you could give one piece of advice to our candidates listening here, what would you say? Maybe Isaiah, I'll start with you. So what's one tip, one big piece of advice?
Call a recruiter and start to build a relationship as soon as you can.
Love
Right.
that.
It's going to help so much in your long-term goals. And I think, especially if you're a first-time traveler, a big part of getting out there is feeling safe, you know? And so knowing a recruiter that you know and you trust and that knows what you want is going to make a world of difference. So speak with a recruiter, let them know your goals, build your profile, and just start looking. And take the plunge. It's
I
gonna be
love
fun. It's gonna be
Yeah, it's
fun,
gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It might be a little cold at first. It's like jumping in the
right?
pool, right? A little cold at first, but once you're swimming around in there, it feels great.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
I love that. Thank you, Isaiah. Caitlin, I'll go to you next.
Yeah. I guess my one piece of advice, because I'm just going to assume that after Isaiah's amazing example, everyone is going to sign up for their first assignment. Once you start your first assignment, keep communication lines open. Let your recruiter or other support departments know how it's going. What can we do to make your experience as best as possible? Whether you choose to stay at that client, which I hope, to be honest, a bit less work for me if you extend. Just kidding. But if let us know how it's going, and if that's a client you want to stay at, or if you're looking to jump around a little bit and try a few different facilities. Just keep those communication lines open. Trust that, like, if you're not telling us, we might not know. So we want to be sure that we're fully aware of everything you got going on and how we can help support you, not only upon signing or getting that contract, but throughout that entire assignment.
I love that, Caitlin. Thank you for that. And you're right. It's a little less work for all of us, right? We don't have to re-credential. We don't have to do all of those things. You just get to stay put, which is awesome. And the client or the facility gets an incredible candidate or clinician who is really meeting the needs of their patient care. So thankful for that. Molly, any last words?
Yes. I know this has been a trend through this whole live, but just being open, transparent with your recruiter, ask the questions. We are here and we are trained to help. We want to help is number one. So just ask the questions, tell us why you want to go to where you want to go, and we will be there and, with you through the whole process. So just be open. We'll be open with you guys, and I'm excited. I hope if there's any new travelers listening, it's exciting. So definitely start talking to a recruiter.
Perfect. Thank you, Molly. And Isaiah and Molly would be more than happy to take your calls and send you over to some of Caitlin's facilities. So feel free to call them. But thank you all so much for joining us. Rachel, thanks for having us back on Gypsy Nurse. We love spending time with you. One quick plug again, we do have that giveaway. So follow us on AMN Nurse. And we love being part of this and here with you. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much. All great advice. I was listening to those. I was like, I love all those. Those are all great. Anyone would be lucky to have all of you as recruiters, or just, working with all of you. But thank you again so much for joining us. We love it when you're on, and we look forward to the next time.
Can't wait to see you.
Guys. Bye.